History is full of stories about people who faced great danger and somehow survived. Many of these stories are difficult to believe at first because they seem almost impossible. One of the most incredible true stories comes from Japan during the final days of World War II. It is the story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the only man officially recognized for surviving both atomic bombings, the one in Hiroshima and the one in Nagasaki. His experience is not only a story of survival, but also a powerful reminder of the horrible effects of nuclear war. In this long explanation, we will look at his life, what he went through, and why his story is important to the world today. To understand Yamaguchi's story, we need to understand what was happening in Japan at the time. World War II had been going on for several years. Japan was one of the countries fighting alongside Germany and Italy. By 1945, the war was almost over and Japan was struggling. Many cities had been bombed by the United States, food was scarce, buildings were destroyed, and people were tired and afraid. The United States wanted Japan to surrender so the war would end, but Japan's leaders refused. This led to one of the most controversial decisions in history: the use of atomic bombs. The atomic bomb was a new and extremely powerful weapon. It was created through a secret American project called the Manhattan Project. Scientists had discovered how to release huge amounts of energy from atoms, which created explosions far stronger than any normal bomb. The US government decided to drop atomic bombs on Japan to force a surrender. Nobody at the time fully understood how destructive these bombs would be. And certainly, no one expected one man to be caught in two of these explosions and still survive. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was born on March 16, 1916, in Nagasaki, Japan. He grew up like many young boys of his time. He attended school, enjoyed drawing and music, and eventually became an engineer. Later, he got married and had a family. He worked for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, a large company in Japan that built ships and other machinery. Because of his job, he sometimes had to travel to other cities for work. In 1945, he and two co-workers were sent to Hiroshima for a 3-month business trip. At the time, he had no idea that this simple work trip would place him in the middle of one of the most devastating events in human history. On August 6, 1945, Yamaguchi was preparing to return home to Nagasaki. His work in Hiroshima was finished, and he was looking forward to seeing his wife and young son again. That morning, he got ready to leave the city. He made his way to the shipyard where he had been working. Everything seemed normal. People were going to work, children were on the streets, and the sky was clear. At 8:15 a.m., everything changed. While walking near the shipyard, Yamaguchi saw a bright flash in the sky. It was so bright that he later described it as a giant magnesium flare. The atomic bomb exploded above Hiroshima, creating a burst of light that was stronger than the sun. The explosion produced extreme heat, powerful shock waves, and deadly radiation. The force of the blast threw Yamaguchi into the air. His body hit the ground hard. His face, arms, and parts of his body were badly burned. He felt confused, hurt, and shocked. When he opened his eyes, he saw a giant mushroom-shaped cloud rising over the city. Buildings were destroyed. Fires spread everywhere. People screamed for help. Despite his injuries, Yamaguchi managed to get up. He stumbled through the ruined streets trying to understand what had happened. Everything around him was destroyed. Houses were flattened. People were crying, burned, or trapped under debris. The city he had known just minutes before was gone. Yamaguchi eventually found two of his co-workers who had also survived. The 3 men went to find shelter. Later, Yamaguchi spent the night in an air raid bunker with many other injured people. The atmosphere inside was dark, painful, and full of fear. Nobody knew if more bombs were coming, and nobody understood the effects of radiation yet. The day after the bombing on August 7th, Yamaguchi decided to return to Nagasaki. Even though he was injured and partially bandaged, he wanted to go home and see his family. He traveled by train, which surprisingly was still running. Many people on the train were also injured from Hiroshima. Some had burns, some were bleeding, and some were too weak to talk. The journey must have been emotionally overwhelming. Yamaguchi finally arrived in Nagasaki. His family was shocked when they saw him. His wife cried because of his injuries, but she was grateful he was alive. Yamaguchi tried to explain to them what had happened in Hiroshima, though he himself still had trouble understanding the full event. On August 9th, only 3 days after the Hiroshima bombing, Yamaguchi went to work in Nagasaki. Even though he was still bandaged and weak, he felt he had to explain to his boss what had happened in Hiroshima. His boss, however, did not believe him. When Yamaguchi described the huge explosion, his boss told him he was exaggerating. A bomb that could destroy an entire city seemed impossible. But while Yamaguchi was speaking, something horrifying happened again. At 11:02 a.m., during the meeting at his workplace, there was another bright flash of light. Once again, Yamaguchi found himself at the center of another atomic explosion. The bomb dropped on Nagasaki was different from the one in Hiroshima, but it was just as deadly. Because Yamaguchi was inside a building, he was somewhat protected. The blast blew out the windows, filling the room with shattered glass. The shockwave knocked him down. His fresh burns from Hiroshima were exposed again, and he suffered new injuries. The room filled with dust and smoke. People screamed and ran. Yamaguchi's boss, who moments before had doubted the power of the Hiroshima bomb, was stunned and terrified. Yamaguchi feared that his wife and son might have been killed. He left the office as fast as he could, making his way through the destroyed streets. The city was filled with fire, smoke, and fallen buildings. Thankfully, when he reached his home, he discovered that his family was alive. By luck, his wife and child had gone to a bomb shelter earlier that morning because they were worried after hearing about Hiroshima. This decision saved their lives. After surviving 2 atomic bombings, Yamaguchi's body was in terrible condition. His burns were severe. He had lost hearing in one ear. His hair fell out in patches. His wounds became infected. For weeks he was weak, feverish, and barely able to move. Later in life, he developed radiation-related illnesses, including cancer, which is common among atomic bomb survivors. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, less than a week after the Nagasaki bombing. The war was finally over. Yamaguchi tried to return to a normal life. He continued working as an engineer and raising his family. But the physical and emotional scars of the bombing stayed with him forever. For many years, he did not speak publicly about his experience. This was common among many atomic bomb survivors, known as hibakusha in Japanese. Many survivors faced discrimination because people wrongly believed they were contagious or could pass on radiation to others. As Yamaguchi grew older, he began to share his story more publicly. He wanted the world to understand the suffering that nuclear weapons cause. He believed it was important to speak up so that such weapons would never be used again. He became involved in anti-nuclear campaigns and spoke to students, politicians, and international groups. In 2006, he even traveled to New York and addressed the United Nations. He told them about surviving 2 atomic bombs and urged the world to eliminate nuclear weapons. Yamaguchi said he was not angry at the United States. Instead, he said he was angry at war itself. He felt that war only brings suffering and destruction to ordinary people. In 2009, the Japanese government officially recognized Tsutomu Yamaguchi as the only known person who survived both atomic bombs. This recognition came many decades after the war, but it helped bring attention to his message of peace. He passed away in 2010 at the age of 93. His life was long, difficult, and extraordinary. The story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi matters for several important reasons. The atomic bombings killed over 200,000 people. Yamaguchi's survival reminds us how terrible and painful such weapons are for real human beings. Despite suffering unimaginable trauma, Yamaguchi continued living, working, and raising a family. He did not let fear or anger control his life. Yamaguchi used his experience to warn the world about nuclear weapons. He believed no country should ever use such weapons again. Very few people have ever experienced something so extreme. Yamaguchi survived not just 1 but 2 atomic bombs, something almost beyond imagination. Tsutomu Yamaguchi's story is one of the most unbelievable yet true events in history. He was an ordinary man who happened to be in 2 cities at the exact moments when atomic bombs were dropped. He survived both explosions, lived through great suffering, and later devoted his life to peace. His story is important because it teaches us about the dangers of war, the value of life, and the strength of the human spirit. Even though the events happened long ago, the lessons remain meaningful today.